Hi, Achim here from InnerSpace Explorers. Today I would like to talk to you about the BOE, the Basics of Exploration from InnerSpace Explorers, and why I think this is the most valuable course that you can do. Before I go into that, if you like my content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you already have subscribed, make sure you click that little notification bell so you get an update once I upload new content, which is normally once a week. All right. If you want to become a professional dancer, you need to learn how to dance, and then you need to become proficient in dancing. But before you can learn how to dance, you need to be able to walk, right? And before you start learning how to walk, you need to be able to crawl, etc., etc. So it's a process. And the same goes for diving. And the Basics of Exploration is often called a skill refinement course. Well, skill refinement means you have these skills, but they are not good and you need to make them better, which is obviously part of the course. But when I look at today's training, I think it also brings you skills that you have not heard from or nobody tried to give to you in your former training. And this is not like bashing a certain agency or anything like that. I always say there's excellent instructors out there from every organization. It doesn't matter if it's Petty SSI or whatever the name of the organization is. All of these organizations have excellent instructors that have a lot of passion and they do a great job. But the majority of dive training today is as fast as possible, as cheap as possible, and the results actually show that it is like I just described it, because most people that come out of their initial training are lousy in the water. And beside all of the environmental things, like these people cannot control their buoyancy, they have bad trim, they steer up silt, they destroy coral, etc., etc., etc. It also takes the fun out of it, right? If you do something and you're not good at it and you don't know how to become better, it obviously is no fun. If you try to ride a bicycle and you fall off it every 3 meters and nobody's there to tell you, hey, you need to do it this or that way, then probably you lose interest in it and you don't do it because it's no fun and it's not safe and you're going to hurt yourself. And diving is actually way worse because you are in a life-threatening environment, and if you cannot handle that, this may kill or hurt you. So, what is the BOE? The BOE is basically the course that makes you ready for your dive training or for your diving career in general. And I want to describe that on an example, and the example is called the Circle of Basics. And this is always funny when I explain to students what this is all about. Everybody that's already on a higher certification level is like, yeah, I mean, that's easy, what's the point of that? The funny thing is nobody can do it. And it's also our measurement tool in this class. So to give you a better understanding, I always go in the water and I show this Circle of Basics, and I'll describe it in a second, but there is a video where I actually show that in the video, and actually I show it without a regulator. It's just like comfort in the water thing, and I'll put a link here, and I'll also put the link in the description of the video so you can check that out and get a better understanding. But I go in with my students without a lot of explaining. I show that, and then I ask everybody to try it himself. And we film that, and we watch that obviously afterwards together. And then after every dive, we watch that again. Obviously, there's a lot more in this course, but this exercise actually has all of it in it. And this is where people can also see their progress over the class. And that is also a great measurement tool for them after the class, because obviously that training should not stop with the last day of the class. So the exercise is as follows. You're in the water, horizontal, in proper trim, and you're stable. And there it already starts. To be standing like that in the water and not drifting back and forth and turning, etc., means you have proper fin techniques, right? You need to be able to position yourself. So once you're just swimming forward, you're just drifting into your instructor or into an obstacle. So you have to have proper fin technique. At the same time, you have to have good trim, because otherwise you cannot be horizontal in the water. And you have to have good buoyancy control, because otherwise you will go up and down. So what I do a lot of times is I set a buoy somewhere on a stone or something like that, and I put a clothespin somewhere or a cookie or something like that in the line, so the person has visual reference, and the visual reference is not necessarily me. And also you see it better in the video because you see the line and the cookie, and you see that person in respect to that cookie and line. So in that position, there's number one. Number one is you take your regulator, you take it out of your mouth, you take the second hand, second regulator, you perch it, you put it in your mouth, it's working, okay, you clip off your main regulator. You go back into position. Then number two is you take your mask off with one hand, you have a light in your left hand, take your mask off, you take your mask back on, you clear it, you get the strap back on, you get back into position, so one-handed. Number three is you take your main light, you clip it off in a temporary position, so it's shining down, and then you store the cord if you have one. If you have a cordless light, obviously you don't have to do that. Then number four is the backup light. So you deploy the backup light, you turn it on, you unclip it, you give an OK sign, you clip it back in, you turn it off, you store it, you go back into position. Number five is you get your primary light back into position on your left hand. Number six is you switch back the regulator. So you unclip the main regulator, you perch it, you take the left one out of your hand, you get the main regulator back in, you go back into position. All of this while not changing your buoyancy, not changing your trim, not changing your position. So basically that holds only things that every certified diver should be able to do, because all the things that you should learn in your initial training are in there. Trim, buoyancy, fin techniques, mask clearing, handling of your primary equipment, which is your regulator, your mask, and your light. If you forget about the light, it's not that important, but you see what I'm talking about. So basically every diver that received initial training should be able to do that, at least in my opinion, because if you can do that, you're solid in the water, you have comfort in the water, because you can maneuver, stay still, control yourself, control your equipment, and be in that environment without getting endangered or endangering anything else. May it be fish, whatever, steering up silt, sediment. Think about different environments later on, cave, etc. So this is basically your primary tools to continue training. So if you want to go into a cave class, into an advanced technical class, trimix diving, stage handling, etc., 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 this should be the skills that are solid and that you should have. We cannot start fixing your buoyancy when you go into cave diving. We cannot start fixing your trim issues if you start working with additional stages and doing blue water ascents with sticker switches, etc., etc., etc. So this should all be there, and the BOE is the class to fix that and give that to you. And there's sure more than 100 students that I taught basics of exploration, and it did not matter where they came from. I had dive beginners with 10 dives or so, and they said, well, we're just not satisfied with our training, we don't feel comfortable, we want to do this specific class. I had trimix instructor trainers that were curious and said, I want to check this out. And everybody that ever did this class later on said, this was the most valuable class for me. I learned something really good. And for me, that's the biggest compliment for this class, because obviously there's something in it for everybody, and at the same time it shows that everybody is missing something in his skill set that is fixed in this class. So let me know in the comment section if you took this class, if you liked it, what you liked in it, if there's something you didn't like, if it fixed your skills, if you think, yeah, the guy is right, I should probably take a class like that, or you think this is not necessary. I'm super interested to read your comments. If you want to discuss these things with me, check out my Patreon channel. This is where I have a lot more interaction with my followers. And other than that, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be awesome because I have a guest in my next video, Steve from the US. and we're going to talk about a really, really amazing project that he did. Take care.